This is Eric with American Business Systems. Today we're going to get started on how to have no competition in your new business of medical billing. Let me share with you about our founder, Patrick Phillips. He is the founder and the CEO of American Business Systems. He is a former Apple executive whenever they actually were stationed here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He is also a bestseller author. Selling author of Cash Crunch to Cash Flow, How to Reprogram Yourself for Success. Both of those can be found on Amazon.com. He's a nationally recognized motivational speaker. He's on the editorial board of the Billing and Coding magazine, which is a magazine that goes out to literally hundreds, if not thousands, of medical billing companies that are throughout the United States. And he is also the founder of the Medical Revenue Managers Association of America. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Patrick to come on here with us.
Well, hey, let's talk about competition. In every business, of course, there's competition. But one of the things that I teach is from a book that I have called Monopolize Your Marketplace. I think it's out of date now. It's probably 10 years old, but it's here's the subtitle. Separate yourself and your business from the competition, then eliminate them.
There you go.
Don't you love that? I mean, in business, really, that's what it boils down to, is your goal is to be better than your competition. Otherwise, why wouldn't people go and, work with your competition? So in general, I just want to talk today to people about the seriousness of getting serious about whatever business you start, whether it's ours or anybody's. You've got to deal with the competition that's out there, or you won't be in business long.
Well, one of the good things about competition, and it's one of the positive factors about it, is that it helps validate really the market that you're actually in.
That's a good point.
If you didn't have competition, you may be in the wrong sector altogether.
Yeah, maybe there's not even a market for your services if there's nobody else doing what you do. In our case, for example, Eric, we know there's only a couple of other companies in the entire United States that do what we do. That is, put people into the medical business, billing business, and train them, on how to get the business started, and that provide, the software to do that and so forth. But we know that we're better than those companies anyway. So that's one of the things we want to talk about is people have got to be aware that they're going to have competition from several different places, aren't they?
Exactly correct. And I guess we'll first start off here with, I think the biggest thing is that people think about, well, what about other medical billing companies? And how long maybe those have been in business, maybe their expertise and everything that they've got. Why, again, when I get into a market that could possibly be saturated with all these other medical billing companies?
Well, we know they're out there because a certain percentage of doctors are outsourcing their billing. It's not a secret that doctors can outsource it and not do it themselves inside their own office with their own staff. Many of them have decided it's just better to get that off of their shoulders. That's not their core competency. It actually saves them money to do that, as we know, Eric. But there's other billing companies out there in whatever area of the country that you guys are in right now. If you're thinking about getting into this business, you have to know how to deal with those other companies and set yourself apart from them. You may not be as ruthless as this book says and eliminate them, but at least you want to get your share of the business from your marketplace. We're going to show you how to do that when you become an ABS licensee.
Yeah, and again, Patrick hit the nail on the head just a moment ago, is what's going to separate you from these existing medical billing companies already outside of why a doctor would actually use someone new. Now, they don't have to know that you're brand new. As one of the things you're going to learn today from our webinar is that being a part of ABS, who's been around for 21 years, you really get to tag along on our coattails and use the experiences that we've had for the last 21 years to really get you up to speed.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about us not being a franchise, and yet having a license. We license people to use our systems. That's why we call ourselves American Business Systems. We can license that to you, and you tie in with us as a part of the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies, or what we refer to as medical revenue managers. And so you're tying in with that. You can even say, we literally do thousands of claims every day for hundreds of doctors from coast to coast. And we've collected millions in lost revenue for those doctors, helping many of them to stay in private practice. So there, see, that positions you as much bigger than you are if you just started out and said, yeah, I just started this business and I work out of my spare bedroom in my underwear.
Right. All right. Let me remind everybody again that if you'd like to ask Patrick or me a question, you can always use the question mark box over there. Just you can see it over there in your control panel. Again, some people have already at least know where to find that. So again, don't hesitate to ask us questions today. This is for you for today.
Hey, Eric, just so everybody can prove to me that they know where that question box is, folks, you don't have to put your name in or anything. Just type in that question box your location, your city or state, so I can actually call some of those out and see that you guys actually found the question box, because some of you right now are reading your email. I know that. Some of you are not paying attention. Okay, here we go. Look at them. They do know where it's at. Look at that, Eric. Wow.
I got it.
Morton,
okay.
Houston,
there we go.
Are you reading them or me?
Oh, you're reading them. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just going down the list. Atlanta, Hendersonville, Tennessee. That's Irene in Cedar Hill, Texas. Wow, they're close by here. It's Columbia, South Carolina, and here's Dave from Davidson, North Carolina. Good. St. Louis, Detroit, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, Chicago, and there's a comment from somebody there that they said they came to see Sarah. We sent out an email, Eric, about my daughter. Sarah was going to be on here with you today, and she had something come up. So of course I'm taking her place, but she'll be here next year, next week at this time, right?
We got it. All right, so let's talk real quickly. Just refresh here. A lot of people want to think about other medical billing companies being your competition. Obviously, Patrick, what about these licensees with American Business Systems? Wouldn't they be my competition as well?
Well, of course. We've been around for 21 years. So, folks, we've put a lot of people in business from coast to coast. Now, the nice thing is that even though we're right here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, for example, Eric, I think the last time we looked that up, it was something like 30,000 medical providers in this area. Right. So even if we had all of our licensees here, they all could be doing business with doctors. There's just too many of them out there. So when you spread that over the entire United States, including Hawaii and Alaska, there's just no way that any one particular licensee could handle all the business. So we're very careful with that, folks, that we're talking to people and we bring people into our training knowing how much business is coming in from any area of the country. And we just would never, ever put enough people in there that saturated the area. Let's give them a better idea for that, Eric. The average licensee can handle how many clients basically on their own?
If they're going to do it without any other support or any other employees, a husband and wife or partners can get together and probably do anywhere from 5 to 6, maybe even up to 8 if there's 2 people that are partners doing this business, or a family or a husband and wife, or a parent and a child, whatever it might be. That's about the maximum that you can do. So
let's round it up to 10 even. 10.
Right.
And if there's 30,000 in this area, and let's say half of them, are not, prospects for that. They'll never outsource, and that still leaves 15,000 here in this area.
Right.
And that means if each person had 10, that we could have, 150. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. So that would be a lot. Again, and then a lot of these licensees, they may be in the Texas area or the Florida area or California, wherever they may be, but they may have doctors in a completely different state. So again, territory doesn't even matter in this area.
Right. Well. There's no territories, and so one person could have doctors all over the country, because let's face it, if you sign up a doctor, let's say here in the Dallas area, and that doctor knows another doctor in Nebraska, they could refer that doctor to you, and you could start doing that doctor's billing, because again, there are no territories. That's the great part about this.
Right. So that's a little bit about other licensees, other medical billing companies. Now let's talk about something that I think can be a little confusing, Patrick, and that is people that have particular billing software. I think we think of first of all that if we have particular software, then that software is going to be our competition as well. You want to speak to just software platforms?
Yeah, we think of this as a competition in this respect, folks. There are places out on the internet, of course, that you can go and get medical billing software. Now, if that's all you're looking for, of course, then there's lots of choices, as Eric can show on the screen here, just from all over the United States. And we used to be a marketer, a reseller of one of these packages that's appearing here on the screen. It's down there in the upper right-hand corner there, Metasoft. We were one of the nation's largest dealers for that. So we included that in our package, in other words, as our software. So if you just want to go get software and think that you can start your own business, of course you can do that. That's competition for us. But the difference is, of course, as you'll see through this webinar, is that it's not just about the software. The software is not the key to your success. Now, does it have to do its job? Yes, it has to collect the money from the insurance companies and from the patients. And it should be leading edge. But folks, that's not the key to starting a business. The key is, how do I get business? How do I get clients?
And again, those other software companies that we were looking at were a lot of smaller software companies. Now, the difference between the ones that we're showing you now, not only have software, but they actually do billing for the doctors. So there is a somewhat of a competitiveness whenever these companies are actually trying to give medical billing companies a piece of software, but then they also do billing back behind them.
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. See, we've committed for the last 21 years, folks, not to be in competition with you. I mean, think about it. If we wanted to, couldn't we go out and advertise and find all the doctors and try to sign them up ourselves? We could, but we haven't in 21 years, and we never will. Why? Because our focus is on you. Now, that's partly because of the way I set up the company, and that is that we make money, of course, on the licensing fee, the upfront fee that you pay to become our licensee and go through our training. But then we also make money on the back end, which we'll talk a little bit more about when we talk about the clearinghouse. The point is that we're making money when you're making money, so we have no need to go out and sign up doctors ourselves. We don't want to be in the medical billing business. What we want to do is train and support people like you who want to be in this business.
Exactly. So let's really kind of narrow it down to really who your competition's really going to be. And it's going to be the doctors and their staff. That's just if we just drill it right down to everything, it's the doctors themselves, because the doctors can, number one, they can do their own billing. So immediately they become your own competition. Then on the other hand, they may have someone else in their staff that says, oh, well, I've got someone that I think I can trust, and let's outsource it to them. But still, the decision is still made by this physician. As long as we've been in business and what we can kind of see what's going on out there, the physician is really your biggest competition out there.
Yeah, and whether they're doing it themselves, in-house, we call it, or whether they've outsourced it already to another medical billing company, we still have licensees signing up doctors every day. And most of them say that the easiest doctors to sign up are the doctors who've already decided to outsource it to someone else, and they're not happy with them. Because believe me, folks, most of those companies out there don't know what they're doing. They haven't been trained correctly. People who started their own medical billing business, for example, they don't have the technology that we have that helps them collect the maximum amount of revenue for that doctor. That's the key. And doctors are looking, believe me, for every penny that they can collect right now.
Yeah, it's difficult. We certainly know our licensees, what they go through, and we know what we hear back as feedback. And obviously, if you haven't been on any of our webinars lately, you may not know this, but at the beginning of October, there was a big change in the medical code. So we went from a version 9 to a version 10. With that, there's been a lot of issues that doctors are having about making sure that they get collected, proper reimbursements. And now actually what we're seeing is a lower reimbursement with some of these doctors that aren't having proper real-time information. That's the best way I can put it right now.
Yeah.
Real-time information. If they can't get that information in real time, they're going to struggle.
Right. And they can't. From most of those software companies that we mentioned there, Eric, they don't have real-time reporting, or don't let the doctor go in and see the real-time status of their claims and their money. So that's a big barrier to the doctors wanting to outsource. Our licensees can give access to the doctor right directly into the system. And so they can see, and they have the control that they want, but they don't have to deal with it themselves. They can deal with the patients, which is their core competency. So, hey, William has just typed in, well, why do they need it? If the doctors can do it themselves, why do they need us?
Well, that's the next question. Why do they need you? Why would they need you?
Right.
And I'm going to kind of drill this down over to even Dwayne's. It's because the platforms that we have, not only does it already have ICD-10, we've had it since October of last year, because it was last year when they were going to make the change.
Right.
But what we've been able to do through the system is even to improve it even there. I was actually doing a demonstration this week with a husband and wife, and it's just so neat to be able to show what we're talking about. I'm kind of getting ahead of ourselves, but if you never have seen a demonstration of this happening,
it will blow your mind.
After our training class, you'll be able to see it, and you're going to be able to experience it. But my goodness, this is one of the reasons why a doctor would need you, and this is what's going to separate you from what you would think as of your competition.
Yeah. So Dwayne and everybody else listening, what we're talking about is those codes. As you know, there's codes for all the diagnostic codes for what's wrong with a patient. Those are numbers, basically, that the doctor puts into the software to get paid from the insurance companies. Well, those codes are now about 16,000, I think, Eric, and they're going to they've moved already in October 1st to 70,000. So now the doctor has many, many more codes to try to figure out and deal with. And Eric, I think that's why we're seeing right now more signups from our licensees than we ever have. The doctors are just going, finally, hey, folks, we don't need to be in this business. Let's turn this over to somebody who deals with this all day long.
Right. I think you and I were on doing a video chat yesterday, and you said, hey, I just got another email where a couple of our licensees just signed up some more doctors. And so, and these are people that some of them have been in business a long time. Some of these are brand new licensees that have just recently come through class. So what we're going to show you today is hopefully be able to give you that information that you need to understand about what really is your competition out there. One of the things you wanted to show was this, Patrick, which was this comparison chart of talking about the cost of a doctor doing billing in-house versus outsourcing it. Since the doctor, it can be one of the biggest competitors out there in the marketplace for our licensees, let's talk real quickly of really just the bottom line cost for a doctor to do billing in their house.
Okay, so first of all, folks, if you're having a hard time seeing that little chart, I know it's kind of tiny on some screens there. You can blow this window up as big as you want. In fact, I think it'll go full screen on most computers, and you can see a little bit what we're talking about here. I'll point to this. I think, can I point, Eric? I don't know if I can or not. No, come to think of it.
If not, let me give keyboard and mouse.
All right.
Let's see if that gave it to you.
Okay, so am I moving the mouse now? I don't think so. Let's see. No. Okay.
I moved it there. Just where do you want me to point it to, and I'll point it.
Well, let's talk about the two columns there. First of all, we took the cost that it might cost the typical doctor who's doing 400 claims a month at an average of $100 a claim, what it would cost him to, first of all, have a full-time biller. Now, this is a California numbers that we're using here, but $46,800 is the salary for a biller in California. Payroll taxes, you add in workers' comp, errors and omissions insurance, training costs, leave coverage for that person, employee benefits, hardware, software, and IT support. All of that combined together is going to cost that doctor about $65,000 to do those claims in their own office. Now, if they outsource it to you, I forget what this percentage is there, but it's 400 claims times $100. That's $40,000 a month, right? Yeah. So $33,600. That's a percentage of the money that doctor would collect over a year's time. That's a whole lot less than the $65,100 that you see at the bottom there. So it's literally 48% less expensive for the doctor to just turn that over to you and let you do that outside of his office. So when people ask us that question, Eric, why would the doctor need you? Well, one reason is he could probably use an extra $30,000 a year.
Well, that would be a raise in and of itself. And for those that are listening, one of the things that you would learn in our training class is how to do what's called practice analysis. In the practice analysis, you're going to learn to fill in these blanks here of knowing what it costs, whether you're that full-time biller in that office is in Texas or California or Florida or Minnesota, wherever it might be, we're going to help you out because they're going to give you that particular number. And then you'll just be able to break down the payroll taxes, the workers' compensation, all of this information in and through here, and you're going to really find out what the really bottom line is, because that's what we want to be able to show them. We want to show them a good comparison to show this gap here for that particular doctor.
Yeah, and doctor, some of these numbers are low ball. I can tell you that most doctors are spending more than $3,000 a year on hardware, software upgrades, IT support, all that stuff, support from the software company itself. Yeah, it could be much more than that. So these are probably low numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually helped a licensee about a year ago, and I found out that $3,000 a month a doctor was being charged just for IT and software.
Yeah.
So you times that times 12, that's $36,000 just right there. So that's a big chunk of his money.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the market in and of itself, because I know that Patrick, a lot of people like numbers and they want to really know what the market really looks like. And we've shared this from past webinars, but we think this is good information for those that have a real analytical background. You want analytical data. We've used this company called Black Book Market Research. They do a lot of different researches, but we're particularly looking at medical revenue cycle management. So that's what we're looking at here through Black Book rankings.
And this is a third party, right? This is a third party independent company that does these surveys. And look, the first one here is just amazing to me, Eric, which is very exciting, really, when you think about it for our licensees when they see this. 42% of all physicians' practices that are smaller practices, 1 to 5 doctors, which is our ideal target market, hope to outsource their billing in the next 12 months. That's why this is just booming right now for our licensees, because almost half of the doctors that are out there are looking to outsource it. So it's a tremendous market number to have in your head there. That there must be a market for it. Look, guys, if you were getting in the automobile business right now, that wouldn't be a good market to get into.
Right.
Unless it's a fully electric car or something.
Oh, like a Tesla?
Yeah, Tesla.
But if you let this number kind of sink in, and this is doctors 1 to 5, as Patrick was saying, a small practice, the advantage that you're going to give doctors at this group level, 1 to 5, is a platform that is only rivaled with larger platforms that are out there that hospitals use. So that's one of the reasons why we're sharing this with you here, because what we're going to show you here in just a moment is the reason why. And then the next one here that I know, Patrick, you really like this, is that it's such a high percentage of physician practice agree that their billing and collection systems actually need upgrading. Now, this was actually taken before October 1 of this year for the ICD-10. And
I bet it's higher now.
No doubt that doctors are going, yeah, I should have changed.
Yes, because doctors are constantly being approached, of course, by software people saying, look, here's a better system and look at this and so forth. And one of the things that our licensees has, of course, is a system that was designed by 2 medical doctors and that is developed here in the United States. All the programming is done right here. In fact, some of their people will be down at our training next week, Eric, as you know, from California.
Right.
We'll sit with those people and go over the things that our licensees are looking for to always make sure that ours is leading edge. But the point is, 89%. Eric, that's like saying almost every doctor out there is not happy with their current billing system. And
right.
We have one that's superior to all of them. The nice thing is that they don't even have to deal with it themselves. They can let us do the billing, or you, the licensees, and our system just gives them all the great features that they're looking for.
Well, let's talk about that, because we want to talk about basically the full package of what you get with us here at ABS. Starting with iClaim, you can see that's the practice management system. I think, Patrick, some people get a little confused about what iClaim really is. it is a billing system, but can you explain a little bit to everyone about what a practice management system and how it's one of those pieces of software that actually helps the entire practice perform at what they do better during the day?
Yeah, it's sometimes even just referred to by a shortened form of a PM. A PM system is a practice management system. It just means the software allows them to run their entire practice. All the patient data is in there, all the medical data, all the insurance data, all the codes, everything is included, all the financial tracking of all the payments and so forth. It's all in that practice management system. And so we have a private labeled system called iClaim that's just for ABS licensees. When you go out in the marketplace, you don't have any competition. One of the ways to eliminate the competition is to have your own. Now, Eric, I know this from a fact because I've been to Sears and I've looked at some of their refrigerators and I've tried to compare them with other brands that are out there. And because they have different people who make their refrigerators, I don't know how to compare. So guess what? They don't have any competition. You either like what you see on their floor for their models, their Kenmore, refrigerators, or you don't, you can't compare. So that's the same thing we've done. For our licensees, we've given you a private label out there in the marketplace called iClaim. Now, a portion of that is tied in, of course, with our EMRX system.
Right. EMRX is the electronic medical records platform, which will kind of show you a brief little, some screenshots there. And then as we kind of just make a circle, we'll get to the patient portal, which is a need for doctors now. Do you realize that, Patrick, that doctors have to meet certain requirements? They have to have at least 5% of their Medicare patients actually access their medical records through a patient portal.
Right.
That in and of itself can be a huge help for people that are trying to get their business up and going, because you can at least show them that. And then the last thing over there in the lower left-hand corner is the clearinghouse, and that's probably the biggest thing that separates us from everybody else. This allows us to do things in real time in the medical billing world. That is what separates you from everybody else.
Yeah, for most software, like some of those we showed you earlier, that software it basically gathers the information about those claims and you upload it to what's called a clearinghouse, which is a third-party company out there that takes those claims, looks at them, scrubs them for errors, and then forwards them on to the insurers. In our case, there is no third-party clearinghouse, folks.
Right.
It's built into the iClaim EMRX system. So when the claims are put in and you push the button, those claims are going right through our system and our scrubbing and our cleaning and our checking for errors. And that's why we have a rejection rate of less than 2%. Now, nationwide, Eric, it's somewhere around, 34%, I think. Most other systems. And ours is less than 2%. Folks, that means a lot of extra money in the doctor's bank account every month.
Exactly. All right, so let's kind of dive into each one of these individually. First of all, we're going to, again, show you iClaim. And you can see across the title bar, right where you see iClaim there, you see the home and EMR, EHR, patient schedule, billing, real-time, and reports. You can see that there, and now hopefully it'll help you to understand that this is basically the nucleus of everything. You really can't have EMRX without having iClaim. So iClaim is really the bread and butter to everything as we're going to look at this. And one of the greatest features that this has, because of what we have behind the scenes, running behind in real time, our clearinghouse, folks, everybody knows that when you go to the doctor, you got to fill out some form to register yourself as a patient with the doctor. You got to fill out your name, your address, your phone number, and you got to give them your insurance card, and then someone has to take that information and literally manually input it into the system. Well, we're going to demonstrate to you just real quickly as best we can with these screenshots. We're going to show you what is actually happening in real time. Because instead of just clicking on registering a new patient, we're going to click on eligibility requests, and what that's going to do is going to give us this option here to click on this and then go to this area of the program. You can see here we can put in the payer, which would be the insurance company like Aetna, put in that patient subscriber ID, which would be their insurance number, And then once that's done, we look that information up, and what comes back into the system is exactly everything from that insurance company. Folks, let this kind of sink in. No other billing platform out there in America does exactly what we just showed you right there.
Yeah, it's called real-time data collaboration. In other words, we've gone to the insurance company's database and collected that data and put it right into the system for you, so you don't have to enter anything. And
Right.
there's no human error. That's one of the reasons our rejection rate is so low, is because we're taking the information as the insurance company has it on hand. They can't come back and say, "Oh, you got that guy's address wrong." Well, if we did, we got it from you.
Correct.
Now, Eric, let me back up just for a second, because there was a question
Yeah.
somebody said here, something about, is this your
Sure.
software? Folks, what you're looking at here are screenshots of our system. And yes, of course, it's software behind the scenes. It's got coding and all that stuff behind it. That's what software is. But this is a real-time internet-based system, what's called a cloud-based system. There is no software that resides on your computer or on the doctor's computer, by the way. It's all in the cloud on our servers, and it's available 24/7 from any computer that has an internet browser. So we're looking basically at a screenshot taken from a browser that was actually logged into our system. Okay, I just wanted to make sure everybody was clear on that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping up with that. Then one last thing. Once we verified that this particular patient, which is Isabella Stevens, actually has insurance with United Healthcare, now to create a brand new chart in there, instead of typing out all of her information, that front office staff or even you could help them with this. You click this button right there where it says create chart, and it comes back and it pulls in all of the data from that insurance company into our system here. That gives us the opportunity to make sure, as Patrick had said, to make sure that we have the proper information into the system. This guarantees us to help that doctor understand we're truly here to help collect as much money for you as possible, and a claim won't be denied simply because we have wrong patient demographics into the system.
Yeah, that's a good point, Eric. In other words, the fact that it's tied in directly to the insurance company's databases, it means that we're not going to make the typical mistakes that most medical billing companies would make. Now, Eric,
Right.
I got a little note here from Shannon. I know you're about to talk about the ICD codes and so forth, how they're built in, but she says ICD-10 is extremely specific now. That's right. There's a code for everything that's out there. If you do some Googling on ICD codes, there's some funny ones out there.
Exactly. Matter of fact, one of the demonstrations I was doing this week, we looked at the old ICD-9 code of pain in a limb, like an arm or a leg. We clicked on that and then popped over here with all the new 10s. There was 6 or 7 new codes that go along with that old code that used to be just one. Now it's several. So you're exactly correct.
Per finger, per joint.
Yeah.
Now there's a code for every part of your body now.
Well, as Patrick was saying here with the EMRX, we already have the ICD-9s and the ICD-10s in here already. We're going to demonstrate that a little bit to you here by showing you that this platform can easily be run from a desktop, a laptop, but what's more important is our system, as we're demonstrating to the right-hand side, is what's called native to the iPad or native to a tablet. Patrick, you want to talk real quickly about that?
Yeah, when this software was actually written, folks, this was before the iPad actually came out. They designed it using the iOS that's on an iPhone. And so all they needed to do is readjust the size of the screen, but basically it was written, and well, it'll work on an iPhone. Of course, it's kind of tiny. Even the big 6 Plus now and some of those big Samsung phones, it's still too tiny. But an iPad is perfect for this, and the doctors love it. They're even making some of their lab coats so the iPad just fits right in a pocket on it. But that means that the doctor doesn't, have a laptop in front of them or have to turn back and forth from the computer to you. They can use the iPad and have that right in front of them as they're talking to the patient. And you'll notice the buttons are great big, button-like things. They're not just something where you'd normally click on it. That means so that an adult finger can tap on those and work it just beautifully. The doctors fall in love with this when they see this demonstrated.
Yeah, and again, the good thing about what we're showing to you right now is that we're looking at the ICD-9 codes here, but in this big old line right here, you can see that we're looking at ICD-10 codes here. So you can see even as far back of when we took this snapshot was back in February of 2014 to even show you that, again, we were ready back last year to do this. We were doing ICD-10 mapping, is what you can see up over here, a lot longer than anybody else has. So our platform has been ready. It's solid. It's even more solid now than it's ever been before. But just kind of give you a little taste of what we're actually being able to do. Now, the thing about it is that you know, we want to kind of step back because, again, we know that these companies that we're looking at right here, Athena Health, Advanced MD, Cario, what are they missing that we have that they don't have? And that is this clearinghouse. Now, we can certainly lose people in understanding this, but again, we're going to try to do our best to illustrate this through here. Patrick, you want to really just kind of just give a very high level of a clearinghouse again?
Yeah, the purpose of them is to take the data that's in your billing system and go through that and scrub it clean. In other words, it's looking for all the little errors that might be there before they forward it on to the insurer. And in our system, it's all done internally. So we're not having to upload something at midnight to some third-party clearinghouse company out there that then has the data, and they take it and forward it the next day to the insurance companies, which then look at it and send it back to the clearinghouse, and the clearinghouse comes back to you with all the errors. Ours is built in, so it makes it all in real time. And folks, that just means that it happens when it happens. When you push the button to submit the claim, if there are errors, it would tell you right then. You don't have to wait for that. That's a huge advantage to the doctor. They'd rather have the money today than tomorrow. In many cases, it's weeks later that they get their money from most systems.
Absolutely. And just to kind of even go a little bit further, if you can, Patrick's already explained to you that it scrubs these claims, but our clearinghouse literally acts as a direct portal to those insurance companies. By what Patrick and I were able to share with you just a moment ago with iClaim of doing that insurance eligibility, the only way that we were able to do that is because of the clearinghouse. So not only does it scrub the claims, but it acts, again, as your direct portal to the insurance payers or the companies themselves. That is a huge advantage. And when we do our demonstrations for you as a licensee to your doctors, your potential doctors, this is the first thing we show them. And when we show them this part, they understand at that beginning of the demonstration, I mean, probably 10 minutes within the demonstration, that you're bringing them something that they've never seen before.
Right.
That's where we're making a huge impact.
I mean, I've been on some of those demos, Eric, with you and some of the other people at our offices that have done those demos, and you hear the doctors in the background whispering to their staff, "Look at that! Did you realize that could be?" And they're saying "wow" basically throughout the whole demo. Folks, this is something we didn't touch on much during this webinar because part of what we do is help you get clients by doing these live demos for you at no cost, by the way. And those help you close those deals with those doctors. About 50% of them are closing now that we do the demos for. So your job as an ABS licensee is just one. Go out and make contacts with medical offices and get them to agree that they'd like to see the latest technology demonstrated to them at no cost or obligation.
There you go, exactly. And that's one of the things we're going to show you here towards the end as well. But as I'm putting this up here, and I'm sure as everybody's reading through this, this is a little bit more of the technical side of everything. But just, again, in general, understand that the clearinghouse is going to catch errors before it ever reaches the payers themselves. And that's going to be a huge advantage to you because it's going to help you reduce any claims that could possibly be rejected. Then it gives you this unique difference in the marketplace that just simply other medical billing services just don't have. So if we think about all the way back to the beginning of this webinar today, one of the questions was, what about other medical billing companies? Why would a doctor use me versus someone that maybe has been in business, gosh, for 15, 20, 30 years? It's what we're demonstrating to them right now is really what's making the huge difference. And it has to be with us owning our own clearinghouse. house.
Yeah. Now, Eric, let's see, it's quarter till. Before we get into the next reason why we are superior to everybody else out there, competition-wise, the patient portal, let's talk just a moment about a couple of questions that we've gotten here. Dev says, do we have any fees for our software? Folks, there are fees for using the software. Every time you sign up a doctor, there is a fee involved, but you don't pay the fee. That's passed along to the doctor. And of course,
Right.
we can't go into detail on this webinar about those fees, but you can ask your ABS rep more about that. We have, some documents that we can send you that give you some more details about that. But the point is that all those fees are covered by the doctor, and so it's not a cost out of your pocket. Let's see. And then Shane says, how many of these newer IT systems integrate the larger brands like ADP in them so that the billing is done with the diagnosis and notes to make the process for the doctor more homogeneous? Listen, there's no system out there that can't integrate with our system. If
Right.
you're on an HL7 platform, that's
Right.
the thing that speaks from one platform to another. Our system can integrate with anything that's out there already. And is there a monthly charge for the doctor to use iClaim? Yes, that we just kind of covered that, Dwayne, by answering that question about fees from Dev. And is every payer compatible with your clearinghouse? Eric, as far as I know, there's no payer out there that couldn't accept the data from our system.
Right. Yeah, Susan, that's a great question. We have connected with our, well, first of all, let's say this. The clearinghouse has actually been around for 20 plus years as well. So there's really not a clearinghouse, I'm sorry, not a payer out there that our clearinghouse cannot be compatible with. So every payer out there obviously can certainly be part of this, part of what we do.
Yeah, so we got 2 or 3 questions here from Shane and Dave, all about the iCloud-based system. Since I brought that up, let me address that just for a second, Eric, before we go on. Shane says, since this is cloud-based, does ABS have redundancy systems in place? Yes, we have several redundant servers. So that means, folks, that when the data goes in from your computer straight to our servers, it's also redundant or duplicated on another server in another part of the country, in a different electrical grid even. So it's completely redundant, and that means if one server went down or got blown up by an earthquake or whatever, it would immediately be switched over to the redundant server in the background chain. Then,
Exactly.
yeah, and then Susan says, if the internet goes down, how do the clients access the system? Well, first of all, in today's world, it's kind of hard for the internet to go down. For example, if my internet connection, my service that I have here in my home office goes down, I just switch to my hotspot. Everybody
Right.
nowadays can have a hotspot on their cell phone that literally would then connect your computer to the internet through the cellular system that's out there in the satellites. So there's no reason why anybody should ever be down, from the internet being down nowadays. Let's see, and then one other from Dave. Please address the cloud backups and security. Dave, these backup redundant servers are also backed up, and the backup data is stored off-site in a secure location. The security in our data center, for example, is the same security that you would find for banks and financial institutions. It is the most protected data that's out there. First of all, it's patient data, and the government requires that it be very secure. And so we've passed all the HIPAA rules and regulations for security on the data and have redundancy. In the 7 years that we've been doing this through a cloud-based system, we've never, ever had the system go down or lose any of the data. Now, knock on wood, right? That doesn't mean that it couldn't happen. All things are possible in today's world. But this is as secure as any system could possibly be out there, and we'd be glad to provide you with more data on that, Dave, if you'd like to have that.
Exactly. All right, Patrick, I know that we're going to be running up against the clock here. We've got a few more slides that we want to get to, and obviously we can take some more questions here toward the end. So let's go to that fourth part of what we were talking about there, which is going to be the patient portal. One of the nice things about the patient portal is it is 100% again completely integrated with everything else. So imagine that you're able to go in and log in as a patient to go view your current charges, what maybe that you have a balance. You can literally click on that button where it says schedule an appointment and click on that particular area of scheduling an appointment. Or if you wanted to, you could literally check in to your appointment. Now imagine, Patrick, being able to check in from your home before you ever get to the doctor and fill in all that paperwork that you would normally have to fill out when you get to the doctor's office. Matter of fact, think about having all that done before you get there, and then just go see the doctor.
Yeah, now let's make this clear, Eric, that this is a system that is on the internet. Again, we can give any patient a site that they go to, and of course a secure login. They have their own user ID and password, of course, and they can go in and see their data. They can update their data. They can see their prescriptions, all kinds of stuff, and it's 24/7 from any computer in the world. But that's all tied into our system there at the doctor's office, and your system that you'll be using there from your home office to do the billing. It's all completely integrated there, not separate from one another.
Now, one of the things that, again, we're just not going to have time to do, I think we've done it once before, but even through this particular patient portal, there's been some new ways to visit your doctor. Obviously, we can go visit the doctor in person. Some people maybe can't get out, so they just have a regular phone call with a doctor. But now we have what's called an e-visit. An e-visit is actually built inside of the patient portal. So imagine being able to, like Patrick and I are doing right here on the webinar today, showing our video. Imagine you being able to visit with your doctor without ever having to go to the doctor. You can just visit with them right there on the screen. There's even some capabilities of showing blood pressures of what you can do there. So many different things that you're able and capable of doing now with this particular service.
Yeah, it's the future, Eric, no doubt. Telemedicine, they call it sometimes. We call it an e-visit. Right. But if Dr. Auger is there talking to me, I can literally say, yeah, I have a little ear tag here that I'd like for you to look at, Doc. I mean, it's just fascinating what the future holds. There's no need really to go to a doctor in a lot of cases for small stuff like that.
So here you can see that you can add another part of it. You can see that you can review your medical records through here. You can get a patient summary. You can look at your allergies. You can add allergies. You can look at growth charts here, something very important for parents and wanting to know about the growth charts of their children. This is very handy for those that, especially getting kids ready to go to school. And instead of calling the doctor and say, hey, can you send me my growth charts or my immunization records for my child, the parent can literally log into the patient portal here, get all that information, pull it down, and it's just incredible what that part is. So if you can imagine pulling all of this together now, you as a licensee, even brand new licensee, you're going to have the power of all of this plus even more, plus the 21 years of experience with ABS. Hopefully, Patrick and I have been able to illustrate to you really how we help you separate yourself from the competition out there.
Get down here because we have a 100% money-back guarantee, which we're going to tell you about next. And that just means that even if you come to our training class and go through the whole week, for any reason you go, you know what, this is not what I thought it was. Well, you had a week's vacation in Texas. Look at it that way. Because we will give you every penny of your licensing fee back. We don't want a penny of it if this doesn't seem to be the right business for you. I don't know how to be any fairer than that, Eric.
Right. Well, that is quite fair and better than most other business opportunities that are certainly out there on the internet. Folks, what we're going to try to do is give you a little insight to our training. Next week is training, so for those that can't make the training, Sarah Phillips and I will be hosting the webinar next week. We're going to talk about the 5 days to change your life. We're going to really get involved what's really going on in the live training.